I've served gratefully and now loudly on our worship arts team. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I have a whole welcome, that we do in a minute, but I'm going to talk for a minute about a thing you guys don't normally get to hear about, which is how decisions are made about things like the music that gets played in here. So the last time Chris Toth played, Stolen Thunder was doing their Give Yourself to Love, Give Me Love, back and forth sort of jam, and Chris suggested they ought to do a give and take pairing. And so today you got Supertramp's Give a Little Bit, and John Denver's Take Me Home Country Roads, possibly the only time in history those two songs have been paired up. Thank you. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. Welcome to everyone on our virtual campus. Welcome to everyone on our Alluvial Avenue campus. Welcome to everyone watching later on Facebook or YouTube. We are one congregation in many places. Our monthly worship for March is Vulnerability. And today we'll be fortunate to have the opportunity to hear the story of Dr. Claudia Habib, president of Porterville College. She uses she, her, ella pronouns. During her 20-year career in community colleges, Dr. Habib has been committed to increasing opportunities to access higher education as a means to improve student social and economic mobility. As a first-generation community college graduate, Dr. Habib has a personal commitment to the mission of community colleges. In collaboration with campus constituencies, local agencies, and industry partners, she has developed innovative programs and services for underserved populations in rural communities. Her career in academia comprises 10 years as a tenured faculty and academic senate leadership, administrative positions including the Dean of Career Technical Education at Reedley College, Dean of Instruction of Fine Performing Arts, Communication and Journalism at Fresno City College, Vice President of Student Services at Reedley College, Vice President of Instruction at Madera and Oakhurst Community College Centers. She has served as President of Porterville College since July of 2019. She holds a doctorate in education and leadership from California State University, Fresno. Additionally, she has a master's in instructional technology at National University and a bachelor's in interior design from Fresno State. Dr. Habib worked in the design industry for 9 years before entering higher education, though I can't imagine where she's had the time in her life thus far. Dr. Habib's involvement in the community includes serving on several boards, such as the Central Valley Ed Consortium, Tulare King's College and Career Collaborative, Porterville Unified School District's Pathways Group, Porterville College Foundation, to name a few. She is an active member of the Porterville Breakfast Rotary Club. Claudia and her husband, Ghassan Habib, have been married for 31 years and are the proud parents of 2 adult sons, Adam and Alex Habib. Please welcome Dr. Habib. We acknowledge that our Alluvial Avenue Church campus sits within the traditional homelands of the Yokuts. We honor them as past, present, and future stewards of these lands. As Unitarian Universalists, we welcome you, no matter your race, culture of origin, age, spiritual background, or religious belief. We welcome you no matter your disabilities, the amount of money in your pocket, your level of education, or your neurodiversity. We welcome you if you are lesbian, gay, bi, trans, non-binary, or gender fluid. You are welcome with or without documentation. All are welcome here. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. If you are on our virtual campus and you want your joys, sorrows, concerns, or gratitudes included in today's service, just text them to us, 559-209-4977. That's 559-209-4977. You can also type them into the chat box, but you have to do it right now so that we can gather them and get them to me to share later in the service. Be sure to text or type your name as well so we'll know who we're talking about. Today marks the end of the 5th week of our annual pledge drive, and pledge team member Laura Radenoff will give us an update. Laura?
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Laura. Good morning. My name is Laura Radenoff, and my pronouns are she, her. I serve gratefully on the Pledge Drive team and as treasurer of our Board of Trustees. Each year at this time, the members and friends of UU Fresno make pledges of financial support for the upcoming fiscal year that begins on July 1st. This lets us finalize a budget based on the real dollars we can expect. This morning, we enter a critical moment in our pledge drive. As Linda said, we've just ended the 5th extended week of our pledge drive. If you haven't yet turned in your financial pledge, this is the time to do so. We really need you to do this today, if possible. We need your financial help, whether you're on our Alluvial Avenue campus or our virtual campus. If you've never pledged before, make your promise of support today, a promise that you will begin paying when the new fiscal year begins on July 1st. Any amount is appreciated. Just email us your pledge to pledge@uufresno.org. If you are on our virtual campus, you can use your smartphone to read our QR code that is now being displayed on your screen, and you'll be taken directly to our Pledge Drive website. If you received a pledge packet in the mail, please return your pledge card in the mail or email us at pledge@uufresno.org. Now, I have the pleasure of announcing our current pledging total. Drum roll, please. The amount is $480,672. That is 71.41% of our goal of $645,999. We only have $165,327 left to go. So please, make your pledge today. Today is the final day of our $5,800 matching grant. We will match your pledge dollar for dollar if you submit your pledge today, up to $5,800. We will also match you dollar for dollar if today you raise your previous pledge. As our pledge drive theme reminds us, we need everyone to help us stay connected in community.
You know what to do, people. In the chat box, in person, or in the silence of your heart, let's take a few moments to say buenos dias and greet one another.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Here's looking at you, kid.
You know, you guys do this sitting down thing better for Tim. I'm just saying. I invite our virtual campus attendees to gather a candle or chalice to light after our prelude. As we begin our service this morning on both our Alluvial Avenue campus and our virtual campus, let the sound of the tingsha open our hearts to all we might receive.
Never Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Karen Polnitz, mi pronombre es ella y sirvo con mucha gratitud como directora del aprendizaje de por vida. Hello, good morning. My name is Karen Polnitz, my pronouns are she, her, and I serve very gratefully as Director of Lifelong Learning. In a moment, we'll light our chalice in our Alluvial Avenue sanctuary. For those of us at home, I invite you to bring a chalice or a candle close so that we might all kindle our flames together. For this morning's chalice lighting, I offer the following words by Tracy Bleakney. Traducción en español por Teresa Soto. A child journeys far from home, fearful and brave, in need of safe harbor. Guided by this chalice, may we seek to understand the causes of flight. Like the comfort of a candle flickering in a window of darkness, let us welcome this child into our home with warmth, nourishment, and love. Would we not want the same for our own child, lost and alone in a strange land? Un niño viaja lejos de su casa, temeroso y valiente, careciendo de un puerto de asilo. Guiados por este cáliz, tratemos de comprender las causas de huir. Como el consuelo de una vela encendida en una ventana oscura, demos bienvenida a este niño, a nuestra casa con simpatía, alimento y cariño. ¿No quisiéramos lo mismo por nuestro propio niño, perdido y solo en tierra extranjera? May our flame be a beacon of safe harbor for all who seek sanctuary. Linda, will you please join me in lighting the chalice on our Alluvial Avenue sanctuary while those of us on the virtual campus light ours at home?
Thank you, Karen. Our sanctuary truly is in many places. She's speaking to us today from Madison, Wisconsin. Before I invite you to join in our song of praise, I just want to note another musical piece here. Our church housebound Stolen Thunder is a family affair today. Drummer, sometime vocalist, and mayoral candidate Lauren Hubbard back there is joined by his wife Erin on vocals. This is the first time Lauren and Erin have performed together in church.
Or anywhere.
Their living room, maybe. Of course. I invite those present on our Alluvial campus to rise in body or spirit, and those on our virtual campus join us in singing "You Are Welcome Here."
2, 3, 4.
If you are searching, come on in. We're all on this journey that starts within. If you've got a burden, come lay it on down. Raise up your voices as we gather round. Whoever you are, whomever you love,
as we recite our church mission, La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Please be seated.
I loved when I parked in the parking lot and I walked up, the sign welcoming everybody, the community garden where the produce goes to help feed people who are hungry. Women have choices over their own choices over their bodies. Absolutely every little thing I hit from the parking lot into the sanctuary is what kept me here.
I think the church's message of caring and love is really important now more than ever.
The day-to-day conversations that I have with the congregation just more and more makes me appreciative of being here.
Reverend Tim's sermons are so thought-provoking and they just really speak to me. I always love hearing what he has to say.
You learn about to help others, to not be selfish.
I think the principles and practices that really resonate the most with me are really the social justice ones.
The UU practice that I really resonate with is the inclusiveness.
1, that Black Lives Matter. 2, is that we need to care for each other. And 3 is that we need to stop gun violence.
I like that in a very busy life, it gives me an opportunity both on Sundays and on during my chalice circle to just stop and reflect and check in with myself and kind of check in with my feelings and my thoughts about the world in general.
The people that come to this campus on a day-to-day basis, they volunteer their time. That's just because they want to see the better for this property and they want to bring in new families, new people to interact with this really smart way of thinking and this smart way of living.
This is all one church. You have to think about it. And where do they get their funding? Us.
With your donations and with your contributions, this can continue to be a safe haven for everybody.
We need this place, and we need each other.
Whether you are here on our Alluvial Avenue campus or attending on our virtual church campus, I invite you to relax your shoulders, feel the weight of your body pressing you into your chair. Breathe in and out, and in again and out. And one last time in and out. When in the past week did your vulnerability expose you to more than you really thought you wanted to handle? When in the past week did your vulnerability open you to receive something precious? As some of us entered the sanctuary this morning, we may have chosen to record a joy or sorrow on the small cards in the back. Those on the virtual campus sent theirs in. We have a few this morning. These are just a little bit of what's on our hearts. Deborah S. says it is with sorrow and joy that she shares Sadie, her late mom's cat, crossed the Rainbow Bridge last Thursday into the land of catnip trees, fancy feast mountains, and heavy cream rivers, and into the arms of her mom's lap for endless pets and snuggles. May she purr forever. Deborah S. also has a joy of seeing Billy S. back in church this morning. Adding to that, Jim C. has a gratitude he's able to be with us on our virtual campus this morning. And Denise, I share this joy with her. Grateful the long nights are behind us. The lengthening of days beckons the best and brightest of nature into our sight. As we think of what's been shared here this morning and all that lies still in the sacredness of our hearts, we also hold in our thoughts those unable to be with us because of poor health or compromised mobility, including Tony E., Margaret H., Bev F., William H., Edith H., Glenn R., Pat M. This week saw more yet of the power of nature flooding throughout the San Joaquin Valley and foothills, and in a devastating series of storms and tornadoes in the Southwest. At last count, at least 26 people had lost their lives in Mississippi. Our thoughts today are with the 20 million people in the South facing severe storms today. The week ahead also has a celebration. March 31st is Cesar Chavez Day, a state holiday here in California, sadly not yet at the federal level. Signed into law here in California in the year 2000, the holiday is meant both as an opportunity for students to learn about the history of the farm worker movement, and as an opportunity for students and schools and communities to give back through service projects. Perhaps this year, Cesar Chavez Day can serve as an opportunity for each of us to directly and deeply appreciate the origin of our food. As we think about the week to come, let us expand our power of connectedness beyond these walls to those who have no one to remember them, to speak their names gently and with love. Through the light of our candle of community, may we and they be truly blessed. Today's call to meditation is Voice Still and Small, Pequeña Voz.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing in storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still we'll remain singing. Singing.
As we gather today, may we remember to consider how others experience the world, to understand how my reality and their reality are different and yet share qualities of the same core desire. May we remember to listen for shared feelings, for places of connection. May we be curious and open to hearing differences. May we love into brokenness to give space for, to be patient with, healing. May we be strong in our vulnerability, in our not knowing, in exposing our less than perfect scary bits to those in front of us. May we have courage to face judgment, scorn, and hatred because of the greater good. May we be disciples of essential goodness, strong in our knowing that in each being is the divine spark of the universe itself. Let us share with each other so that we can then share with the world. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Past the playgrounds and the empty switching yards. The turtles eat the skin from your eyes, so they lay open to the stars. Your clothes give way to the current and river stone, till every trace of who you were is gone. And the things of the earth that make their claim, that the things of heaven may do the same. Goodbye, my darling, for you I give God thanks. Meet me on the Matamoros, meet me on the Matamoros, meet me on the Matamoros banks, over rivers of stone and ancient ocean beds. I walk on twine and tire tread, my pockets full of dust and my mouth filled with cool stone. The pale moon opens the earth to its bones. Along, my darling, for your kiss, for your sweet love, I give God thanks. The touch of your loving fingertips, meet me on the Matamoros, meet me on the Matamoros, meet me on the Matamoros banks. Your sweet memory comes on the evening wind. I sleep and dream, holding you in my arms again. The lights of Brownsville across the river shine. A shout rings out, into the silty red river I dive. Along, my darling, for your kiss, for your sweet love, I give God thanks. The touch of your loving fingertips, meet me on
Beautiful, thank you. At the risk of the church equivalent of breaking the fourth wall, I'm going to level with you guys just a bit here. This is normally my favorite part of lay leading a service, because I get to take the theme and wrestle with it and run it through a reflection of my own and write something. But I struggled with this service. What do I, a fifth-generation Californian white woman, have to offer in a service about immigration? I've lived and worked in other countries, but always as a choice and adventure, protected by layers of bureaucrat and embassy affair information. I could have just picked something to read, but then I run the risk of being really inauthentic, having my face and voice standing for someone whose experiences I have never lived. Fortunately, and you all may remember I am a coincidence theorist, the universe decided it had had enough of my dithering, and it had my cat jump onto a bookshelf and knock a book down the other day, a copy of Mohsin Hamid's book, Exit West. Hamid is a Pakistani-British author whose career I've followed since his first book was published while I was teaching in Lahore, Pakistan, and I learned he once attended the school where I was working, the Lahore American School. This particular book is a science fiction portal story that tackles the refugee crisis. As I picked the book up to replace it on the shelf, I remembered something I had heard, that Hamid believes all humans share the experience of migration. In his words, I think the experience of migration is basically what it is to be a human being, that we cannot remain still. Time moves, even if geography stays. And what's important about this is if we are all migrants, it means that we can each have more compassion for each other. If we are all migrants. I think what this means is that even if we are born and die in the same place, time moves on and doesn't take us always along with it. Those of you who are my age or older know this feeling really well. The places you visited as a child are gone. No one remembers the sky slide on Blackstone or Soupy's lakeside pool. There's even a Facebook page called Lost Fresno. Even more disconcerting, just existing in today's society requires skills that didn't exist when we were young and that we never learned in school. How many of you have been tripped up somewhere trying to shift to online bill pay? How many of you remember your passwords? A couple of weeks ago, my boyfriend and I met in San Francisco. He flew in from his home in Bishop, California. On Monday, I dropped him at the airport and headed home. Along the way, I kept getting messages, the flight's been delayed an hour. The flight's been delayed another hour. The flight's been delayed 2 hours. Finally, the flight was canceled. He stood in line and was given vouchers for food, transportation, and a hotel. The transportation voucher was for Lyft, and the food voucher for DoorDash. He had no idea how to use them. Neither DoorDash nor Lyft operate in the tiny town of Bishop, California. Finally, he found an actual cab, took it to the hotel, grabbed something from a vending machine. He was tired, frustrated, and just felt like he didn't belong, didn't know what to do, was out of step, and he didn't have the energy to figure it out. There is a hugely significant difference between the experiences of those whose migrations are forced upon them through war, conflict, natural disaster, economic uncertainty, and those whose migration are voluntary or purely temporal. I absolutely don't wish to seem to be trivializing the very real difficulties and very real dangers faced by those who flee for their lives with their families. Most of us have no idea what that sort of migration feels like. But I believe if we can find the places in our lives where we have migrated and spent some time examining the way those migrations made us feel disconnected, alienated, different, frustrated, just too tired to figure it out, if we can extrapolate to how it would feel if those sorts of emotions were what we felt all the time, with every single thing we did each and every day, if we could truly see ourselves as migrants too, even if demonstrably safe and in minor ways, perhaps we can shift from having sympathy for the stories of other people to the sort of empathy for some level of shared experience that moves us toward action. My hope. Please stand as you're willing and able and join in our singing the hymn, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People."
Good morning. Buenos dias. I'm delighted to be here, being part of your service. But I have to admit that I had the normal jitters as I was arriving here to your church. And when I read the first phrase on the concrete there, "We affirm that love is the doctrine of this church," that was very beautiful, and it's what I needed. And then just experiencing how welcoming you are made me very vulnerable, actually. And your service, your music, and the intentionality of your mission statement has touched me profoundly. So now I think I'm more nervous, actually. So I was asked to share my story to go with today's theme of immigration, and I wasn't sure that my narrative was the right topic for today, but then I started to reflect on how my story, my journey, especially during my college years, has shaped in a significant way how I approach the work I do today as president at Porterville College. So allow me to tell you my story. I was born in Colombia, South America, and I immigrated to the US, actually to Fresno, when I was 23 years old. The primary reason for leaving my country was to escape the violence and the lack of opportunities in the late 80s. The second one was to join my parents who had immigrated and trickled in years before me. And although I was very sad to leave my extended family, my friends behind, I was excited to come to America. I knew that I was living the dream of many, and I knew I was very lucky to be here. But I realized very quickly that starting a new life in the USA was not going to be easy. And after the excitement of discovering my new surroundings faded, it became obvious to me that I had to start giving direction to my life in order to survive, and that what I made of myself depended completely, and it was completely up to me. I had no money, and I needed a job fast. But my initial work searches were totally unsuccessful. My first interviews were at McDonald's and L'Amour's Cleaners in downtown Fresno. Nobody will hire me as a waitress because I didn't speak English. I tried attending adult school, but that was not working quite nicely, and I realized that my options were limited. So I was a little desperate 6 months into being here, and I decided to do work that didn't require any speaking. So I delivered newspapers in the cold hours of dawn. I washed and detailed cars. I cleaned homes during the day and offices at night. But then a breakthrough. I was hired at Domino's Pizza as a delivery driver. The only condition for hire, don't say anything, just smile. No matter what the job, the low pay, and the challenges, I worked really hard. I would always put a lot of pride in the work at hand. If I had to detail a car, it would be the shiniest car. I even put wax on the pedals, which I discovered quickly was not a good idea. Very slippery. If I had to mop the floors at closing time, they would be the cleanest floors. They would be like mirrors. I worked hard because I was hoping that someone noticed that I had a good work ethic. Or maybe I was just hoping to have a larger tip to augment my minimum wage, $4.10 hourly rate. There were a lot of tears as I faced unsafe situations or missed doing the thing that a 23-year-old will wish to do. But I kept telling myself that it was just temporary, that it would only last until I learned the language and got an education. My father always said that if we wanted a better life than what he was able to provide for us, we needed a degree. Neither of my parents had a high school diploma. So for a while, I juggled multiple jobs while at the same time trying to find information on how to go to school. My dream was to become an architect. And I was told that the community college had such program. Entering the community college was a challenge on itself. It's a long story, but it was very difficult because I didn't know the system. But I was accepted at Fresno City College for the spring of 1989 to study English as a second language and to major in architecture. That start at Fresno City College was the first step to a better future. I had immense support from counselors, from my instructors who were patient and encouraging. I went to school full-time and I continued to juggle multiple jobs, except that now I was no longer delivering pizzas, I was making them. Big upgrade. I am proud to say that I was in the dean's list for every semester for 2 years. And with the encouragement of my architecture instructors and with the help of the transfer center, I applied and I was accepted at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I will never forget the words of my instructor. He told me, "You don't realize how special it is that you were accepted. Very few students transfer to San Luis Obispo in architecture." And that actually is still true today. My first year there was very difficult. I was alone, I had very little money, and I still struggled because of my limited English. The support system that I enjoyed at the community college was no longer there. It's really when I experienced the realities of being a minority, an immigrant. I had a culture shock. I was on a campus with very few Latinos and very few women in architecture. Washing dishes in the school cafeteria was not enough to pay for meals, and Snickers bars from a vending machine became my staple lunch. To be able to pay for the dorms, I worked in the custodial department, and I was assigned to sweep the sidewalks around the student union at 6 in the morning. That was probably the only job I really hated. But the reality of my situation was even worse, as I could not afford the tools of my trade. While architecture students were using glue guns and electric erasers, I was using Elmer's glue and erasing by hand. I felt inadequate. I wanted my education in architecture, but I was not ready for the Cal Poly experience. So although I was in good academic standing, I decided to leave. At that point, I felt that I let down many people, those who helped me get there, but I decided that being near my family, and that was more important. So after 2.5 years, I came back to Fresno. By now, I was married and expecting my first child. However, the dream of pursuing an education was my top priority, and I was afraid that it would never happen if I didn't press forward. So I enrolled at Fresno State in the interior design program, took between 18 and 24 units per semester, and finally graduated Student of the Year in 1995. Thank you. At that point, my first baby was 18 months when I graduated. And I was a little bit of a stranger to him because I spent so much time studying on long nights and weekends that he barely gave me his hands and he barely called me mom at that point. He's now 30 and we're doing great, so no worries. I was hired a week after graduation in my first professional job as a designer, and I worked for that company for 9 years. I kept improving my English, and I received much help from the people who appreciated my accent, and I had new mentors as well. In the last of those 3 years, I had the pleasure of having Fresno City College as one of my clients. I was feeling successful as a designer. I had a good career, and I was reconnecting with the people who had made a difference in my life years prior. And as luck would have it, an opportunity to work at the college became available, and I was hired as a full-time instructor in the Applied Technology Division in 2002. I was the first full-time woman hired in that division. Now, teaching has been one of the most rewarding experiences in my professional life. Connecting with my students and seeing their struggles, the struggles they face, helped me evaluate and understand my own experience. I could relate to their plight. Being in education and curious to learn more, I decided to pursue a master's degree. It was a scary thought at that time. With a full-time job and now 2 young sons, I knew it would be hard on the family. But with hard work and my husband's and son's encouragement, I obtained a master's in instructional design in 2004. 4 years later, the curiosity and the drive to learn hit me again. And with the encouragement of my mentors, I set the biggest personal challenge yet. I decided to pursue a doctorate degree in education and leadership. My dissertation was about Latina community college presidents. I was inspired by their stories, and I learned about the challenges they face as they develop their own careers. As I walked across the stage to receive my doctorate, I could not contain my tears. The memories of the hard years were replaced by the joy of achieving something I never thought possible. That degree was for my parents, who never had that opportunity. That degree was for my husband and my sons, who sacrificed a lot for me. My husband is there. That degree was for all the women who, like me, are still struggling to break the glass ceiling and who are juggling family, career, and dreams of a better future. The combination of my studies, my observation of the educational system, and the persistent barriers faced by students motivated me to move into administrator roles. I was in search of solutions, of change that could dramatically affect the outcome of students. This commitment became a personal goal, and I knew that going to administration was a way to affect change. So after 10 years of teaching, and as a tenured faculty, I took an administrative career that followed all those positions that were mentioned at the beginning, so I'm not gonna mention those. I was dean a couple times and vice president. And I enjoyed every position. Each one opened my eyes to new possibilities, more ways to help students, and also more and bigger challenges. Then, despite my personal doubts and the ever-present imposter syndrome, I came to the realization that I was ready to become president. But where? Where? This was such an important decision and a step for me and my family that I took a very careful approach. I wanted an opportunity to serve in a community where my life experiences combined with my professional skills will make an impact. Porterville was that community. So here I am today telling you my story. But today is about immigration. So why am I giving you so many details about my life? Why is this important? Why does it matter? Let me give you some context. Porterville College is a rural Hispanic serving institution with a student population of 80% Latino Hispanic. Our students skew higher for females, 60%, and 58% are first-generation students, college students. California has more immigrants than any other state, and we are home of 10.5 million immigrants. The vast majority were born in Latin America, about 49%, and Asia, 39%. California immigrants have varying levels of education. As with many colleges in California, we're working on diversifying our campus. We have diverse leadership, and we're trying to bring more faculty of color and sexual orientation. We aim to be inclusive. It is important because representation matters. Having immigrant role models significantly impacts the goals immigrants set for themselves. And we, immigrants, and in particular women, understand the privilege of being in these roles, and we carry out our duties in a visible way for our students. But doing so comes with a lot of challenges, and we face them often, such as having to constantly prove our worth, our experience, and our ability to make decisions. In addition, as you know, immigrants are such a key part of the entrepreneurial spirit in America. Immigration has been at the root of this country since the beginning, and we need to hold to that and encourage it. Many immigrants start their own businesses. Many others work in difficult industries. As it was mentioned earlier, in the Central Valley, immigrants are part of the backbone of this economy, especially the agriculture industry. Lately, we all have seen pictures of farm workers working at knee-high water and under storm, cutting crops of celery, strawberries, and oranges. These immigrants have been heavily impacted by the storms and previously by the pandemic. And yet, they don't have health insurance or disaster insurance, and they're the most vulnerable in our society. So I take this opportunity to highlight this concern because I know that your community cares a lot about issues of social justice. It's in the fabric of your service today. My immigration story is a success story. I reached my American dream, or my California dream. But my conditions were more favorable than the conditions of many who are escaping far worse and have much less. Please continue to advocate for immigration reform. The DACA policies, defer action for childhood arrivals, they need to be permanent, so work permits are permanent and not subject to renewals. I am glad that over the years, access to higher education has expanded to undocumented immigrants, but we need to support additional reforms so immigrants have a chance to affordable education and a path to their American dream. As a college president, I have the opportunity to meet many first-generation, hardworking immigrants and their families. They're constantly facing hardship and despair. I see it every day. They dream of a bright future for their families and an opportunity for socioeconomic upper mobility. My job is to give them hope. Thank you.
Hello again. Soy Karen Polnitz, directora del aprendizaje de por vida. I'm Karen, director of lifelong learning. In holding the many journeys of immigration which bring us together today, I hold deep gratitude for this church as a space of welcome and refuge for all. From the little sign on the walkway that reminds us in multiple languages that all are welcome here, to the reaffirming each Sunday morning that we are welcome here without or with papeles, to the heartfelt efforts of our Afghan resettlement team. This immigrant's daughter knows UU Fresno as a place of welcome. As a staff member here with a behind-the-scenes eye, I also know that these efforts and steps require resources of our time and our financial support. If you are able, I invite you to join me in contributing this morning. If you have never contributed before financially, perhaps you make today the day you begin. If you are a pledging member or a friend of the church, as I am, I invite you to share a little extra this morning to support the efforts and growth of our church. In the spirit of giving, let us join our voices in our call of offering, which will appear on the screen. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? In a moment, you will see a slide showing how you can make a financial contribution right now on our virtual campus. Or if you are on the Alluvial Avenue campus, you can always drop cash or check into the basket on your way out of the sanctuary. Or you can share generously right this moment by using Cash App. Just send your contribution to $UU Fresno. That's $UU Fresno. The morning offering will now be gratefully received. May this church continue to be worthy of the many forms of our gifts. Thank you for our shared time together this morning, and thank you to our guest speaker, Dr. Claudia Habib, for sharing her journey with us today. Many of us carry within us and within our history a story of immigration, migration, or transition. Wherever we walk, may we know that this shared flame of community burns brightly in our heart. When you are weary, know that we will carry it for you to light the way, just as we know that you will carry it for us when we need to borrow your light. As we prepare to end our service and enter into our afternoon, please join us in our chalice extinguishing words as you extinguish your chalice or candle at home. Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad, o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
We do have a few reminders this afternoon. Please do stay after service for coffee and conversation. I also need to mention there is no pledge drive table now that we're at this part of the drive. So if you brought your pledge card, thank you. Go ahead and put them in the basket on the way out, please. You could also probably give them to Laura. She's right over there, willing to take any money you're willing to give. I want to introduce Patty Bennett, our coordinator of congregational life, who's here to help you in any way that you could possibly need help. She'll find ways to connect you with the conversation. There is a tour today, so I think you can probably grab a cup of coffee. Can they grab a cup of coffee? And then meet back here at the pulpit after the service, and Patty will show you around and talk to you. We also have a visitor table. Bill Reganini, our past president, will be at the visitor table. Bill will be there to answer questions newcomers might have about the church, Unitarian Universalism, life in general. He's a wise guy. Go talk to him. Hi, Bill. In addition, Dr. Habib has offered to stay for conversation if any of you have questions that you might like to ask her. I think I said meet back in the sanctuary, but there's a tour going on and it looks like a nice day. So after the service, she and I will be out in the sort of receiving area. If you want to stay, let her know. There's some folks. She'd be happy to talk with you a little more. And thank you for being so generous and being willing to stay with us today. Okay, as we prepare to end our service and enter into the outside world, we have a tradition here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. We want to acknowledge those who are with us for the first, second, or third time. We are happy and honored that of all the places you could be on this beautiful Sunday, you chose to be here. If you're here with us for the first time in our virtual campus, please give a shout out in the chat. And if you are here for the first, second, or third time on Alluvial Avenue, please stand so we can see who you are. We won't make you stay there by yourself very often. Do we have any? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And now will the rest of us please rise? Now will the rest of you please rise as you're willing and able? Please join hands or place your hands over your precious heart for our closing word and sung benediction. We leave blessed by our connections to one another and to the Spirit of life. Walk lightly, that you see the life that is below your feet. Spread your arms as if you had wings and could dance through the air. Feel the joy of breath in your lungs and the fire in your heart. Live to love and be a blessing on this earth. May it be so.
Gee.